Welcome to the Being There podcast. Stories from the road where we keep the rubber side down. These are stories written by my father, Gene McAlmont. Commentary by his son, me, John McAlmont. This is episode 21, I Once Knew a Girl. Written August 23, 2005. Young blood boils with passion in a way one can only remember as the years flow by. In this story about a young woman from South Texas, the author reminds us that passion remembered is passion lived once again. This is I Once Knew a Girl. The square at Goliad was a pleasant sort of place, full of people taking a break from the business of life to gather at the old cafe for a bit of socializing and some lunch. My friends were there as well, but I wasn't hungry. I had plenty of cool water, and this old bench fed me like a finely crafted settee. A trickle of sweat lost its grip on my forehead and rolled down into the corner of my eye, just like the others that had just gathered before it. It was hot in South Texas. Of course, it was August, and heat was just part of the cycle of life. She looked at me and smiled. "How are you?" she asked. I told her I was fine and politely asked the same of her. She nodded and smiled once again. I'm sure the sight of a half-dressed man in a sweaty plaid shirt, hiking shorts, and motorcycle boots was amusing to her. A quick glance at the motorcycle parked in the shade pretty much explained it all. "Well, now take care now," she said as she walked towards the cafe. She was wearing a thin pink and blue sundress that sashayed seductively as she walked across the street. No doubt she has caused the heart of a many young man to beat just a little faster. My past seemed to creep into my awareness and melt into the present. I once knew a girl from Cuero. The courthouse steeple bell chimed once. She wore her hair kind of squareo. A hot wind rose up from the baking asphalt, stirring the leaves of a nearby live oak. And when she was bad, she was. The town square felt silence in the rippling waves of the summer heat, as if eavesdropping on the thoughts of a man whose youth was only a memory. Angelina. Sweet, sweet Angelina. Her name rolled off my tongue like sweet nectar dripping from a honeysuckle flower. Her raven black hair would blow in the wind as if it were threads of fine silk. We met in college by the remotest of chance. This boy from the city and this girl from the country. We had nothing in common, yet were drawn to each other as opposite poles of a youthful magnet. I guess these familiar surroundings brought her back to my memory, a memory buried deep but still full of life. Angelina lived outside of Cuero with her family on a modest-sized ranch. She had an understanding about life only a cowgirl could have. She had grown up surrounded by the cycles of life in a very real way. She had an understanding about these things of which I had not even known to ask. Her youthful brown skin was radiant and smooth to the touch. She would look at me with big brown eyes that tore my flesh away and ripped at my soul. What she ever saw in me will remain one of those divine mysteries, not to be examined too closely. Perhaps she took pity on this raw and untempered youth, as if he were a yearling just venturing from the shelter of a stall. Angelina. Sweet, sweet Angelina. Sounds of hammering were carried on in the southerly breeze, and a diesel pickup rounded the corner, parking in a space large enough for two small cars. A big man dressed in traditional Western wear climbed from the cab and walked across the street to the cafe. Before he entered, he removed his hat and dusted the soil from his jeans. I once knew a girl from Cuero who didn't have much denario, but what she had didn't make her sad. She would share it with a touch of rancherio. Angelina was a pretty cowgirl, and when she walked, she had a grace in her movement that was hard to describe. Her shapely body was the thing of legend and drove the dreams of restless sleep. Had she been stolen to Troy, surely her beauty alone would have launched a fleet of 1,000 pickups to her rescue. A group of women, all dressed in full skirts laced in bright colors, spilled from the cafe to the sidewalk. I could hear their laughter and feel the energy of their being. They were close friends. They'd known each other for many years. They were pleased to be with each other. They were happy. Angelina, sweet Angelina, I wonder where you are now. Are you happy with your life? Did you marry that cowboy of your dreams? Do you have children? Perhaps all grown up by now. Do you remember me at all? South Texas hadn't changed all that much, nor had it lost any of its charm. The beat of life was as familiar now as in my remembrance of this place. I looked at the white puffy clouds flowing overhead, as if it carried along some invisible river. They changed shapes, morphing from one another in an endless ballet. It was so pretty, this parade marching between the old buildings of Goliad, carrying with them the promise of the future rain. I once knew a girl from Cuero who had a horse named Genario, and when she'd ride, she'd brush the men aside who fell to their knees in prario. Cuero, Texas, only 6.58 square miles big, around 8,000 people or so in the county. You can get there off of routes 87 and 77 alternate, and 183 passes through the city. Interestingly enough, it's near the mouth of the Sandys Creek, which empties into the Guadalupe River. Oh, what a life so well lived. And if you're curious what a settee is, well, I was too. It was a new word for me. It's simply a long seat with a back, or a medium-sized sofa with arms and a back. Interesting choice of words. Yes, a life well lived with great experiences. One of the greatest things my parents instilled in me as I was growing up is don't be afraid to have all of the experiences. You know, we only have one life, and that one life can, well, be a boring life, or it can be one filled with adventure. And my dad took many adventures, instilled that into me. My life is full of adventure, and I instill that into my daughters. Take the adventure. Do the things that are scary. Do the things that challenge you. Don't be afraid to step out of the safe box and experience what life has to offer. Fortunately for me, things didn't work out with Angelina, nor would I be here if he had not met my mom, which I think he said many times, what did my mom see in this unruly man? Well, my mom is probably the most patient person in the world, and she had patience with my old man. You know the old saying, stop and smell the flowers. Well, hopefully, one day, in the not-too-distant future, you can find a settee that fits you perfectly. Sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the memories and some of the adventures that has brought you to where you are today. Because that's all we really are, a sum of the life that we've led, all bundled up, stored away in our memory, to be relived. Thank you for listening and spending this time with me. If this stirs your soul like it stirs mine and you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and follow the podcast so you don't miss future readings and commentary. All written material featured in this podcast is the original work of my father and used with his permission. The thoughts and opinions I share are my own. This recording is for personal listening only. My voice likeness and performance are protected and may not be recorded, reproduced, or used in any form of AI training, cloning, or synthetic replication without my explicit written consent. Thanks again for being here. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and safe travels.